rise to the flag salute. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meeting of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Cedar Grove Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be advertised by having the date, time, and place thereof posted on the bulletin boards in the district, published and/or transmitted to the Verona Cedar Grove Times and Star Ledger newspapers, filed with the township clerk, and posted on the district's website. May I have roll call, please?
Mrs. Burke?
Here.
Mrs. Dye?
Here.
Mrs. Marinelli?
Here.
Mr. Mandela?
Here.
And Mr. Sakala?
Here. I will now open the meeting to the public for comment for any items that are on the agenda. Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the meeting. Good evening, board members.
Good evening. Hi, good evening.
Do we have any committee reports, or should I say, Mrs. Dye, do you have any committee reports? Because I think we should buckle up a little for a few minutes.
Well, I've had some free time, so it's been a busy last 2 weeks. I think I'm going to work my way backwards. So I attended, along with some fellow board members and Mr. Featherman, the North End fundraiser, the Run for the Roses, which I have to say was a lot of fun. And I don't have too many details except that they were hoping to have 200 people attend, and they met that and beyond. And it was a lot of fun. And it was all about sports betting and horses and things like that, and I actually won twice, and it was actually a lot of fun. But while we were all at that, history was actually being made in Ramsey with the first ever Cedar Grove lacrosse game, which was really exciting, that there were a bunch of dedicated parents and kids who, in the pouring rain, 7th and 8th graders played the first lacrosse game ever as Cedar Grove, as a Cedar Grove team. They lost 6-5, but that doesn't matter. Wow. Big shout out though to Kevin Brown and Jeannie Moreno and Joe Amati and everybody else on the committee who have worked so hard in the last couple of years to make that happen. I mean, it's just phenomenal. When last I heard, we have over 200 people signed up for lacrosse, which is great. And just last weekend alone, I know the 5th and 6th graders played, the 3rd and 4th grade boys played, and the 7th and 8th graders played. And 7th and 8th grade actually won on their home turf, which was also exciting. So congrats to everybody who really just made that happen. We've been talking about it for a couple years, and for it finally to be here is kind of exciting. Let's see, working my way back a little bit. I attended the National Honor Society induction at the high school, which that's the first time I've ever attended that, and it was really, really nice. There were 16 new members inducted, juniors, and I want to point out, as I did at last night's ABT meeting, that Mr. Mangili gave just an amazing speech on attitude, and it was just so great. I mean, and he talked to the students and the parents about just, you know, how the major differentiator about the students up on stage is just their attitude, and about how at the end of the night, when they're totally exhausted from doing the 9 million things that these kids are able to do, they go the extra mile, they do that extra book report, or they do this or they do that, and it was a great speech. So I thought it was great. Mr. McBride also gave a great speech about how he came to be, you know, on stage with the National Honor Society students, and so he was great as well. But it was really, really nice. Let's see. I attended the South End Spring Concert last week, where the theme was America and the Presidents, and of course Mrs. Obendorf did a great job as always, and the kids were dressed in red, white, and blue. I attended the middle school spring concert also last week, and there are a lot of kids who are signed up for either chorus or band or orchestra. And Mr. DeCourt, I was standing next to him for a little bit, and he said just a couple years ago there were just a few students on stage, and the program has really grown, and it's really exciting to hear, and it was just great. Let's see. I attended the high school ABC meeting last night, and what let's see. Oh, those students fortunate enough to be attending school next Friday on the 25th will have map testing, which is great for them. So if you're in the 9th to 11th grade, you will have that. May 5th is the academic awards night. May 5th through May 15th will be the AP testing. And Skylar the hypnotist will be at the high school tomorrow night. And then, let's see, Mr. Mangili talked about something that he's kind of working on for school beautification, but he asked that he wanted to kind of keep it a surprise, so we're going to not go any further on that, but I thought it was great that he's working on something. Let's see, I attended the middle school FSA meeting last week. Let's see, the big thing, and I think I mentioned this last month, is that they were talking about, instead of having a 7th, 8th grade social, which they only had about 10 people signed up for, they scrapped that, and now they're doing a basketball, volleyball competition faculty-student after school on May 7th, which is going to be pretty exciting. And Mrs. Iad was there, and she was all excited about it, and so I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So I think we'll definitely get more than 10 people who will attend that. Let's see, Fun Day, they were looking for different ideas. They do that every year. Usually they use Powerhouse Studios, but this year they're trying to think about it a little bit more. Let me see, May 4th. In May, I'm sorry, the 4th grade will visit the middle school, and there'll also be parent orientation. Award ceremony will be June 13th. Graduation is June 19th. And one thing that I'm going to actually mention, because I've noticed that it's an issue also, a lot of people are complaining that pickup at the middle school, and I don't know how many of you may be at the middle school at 3:30, but when you go through the parking lot rather, cars seem to park on both sides of the curb, and so you can't get through at all. And so you really cannot be parking on the left-hand side, and they're talking about putting up cones or people or something, because it's kind of it makes it rather difficult to get through.
I didn't think you were able to pull up there. I thought
You're
they
not.
had cones there.
No, not at 3:30 in the afternoon, no.
Oh, 3:30.
Yeah, a lot of kids stay later for, chorus or homework now or whatever, so 3:30 is a big pickup time. And it used to be you'd pull up and you'd be either on the right-hand side or you could pull into the teacher parking lot, because by then there's lots of space. I guess somebody started parking on the left side and that kind of stuck, and now it's kind of a problem, so. That's that. Anything else on? No. All right, and then I believe, lastly, I attended the rec board meeting on April 2nd. And the one thing I wanted to bring up is, fireworks July 2nd, rain date July 3rd. There'll still be the Memorial Day parade. South End playground is being moved to the middle school for the summer, and that's because of the boiler replacement. Is that correct?
Correct.
So Mr. Ronat mentioned that. Let's see, pool registration, they have the new snack bar. They're actually looking at a possible new vendor, and this was in the newspaper as well. There's been some issues with the current vendor as far as him running out of stuff or, not being staffed appropriately. And so the town council, they were talking about that. So stay tuned. One thing that came up and continues to come up is our Friday folder, and I know, and while most people are starting to think that it's a great thing, Ron had suggested that it might be a reason why there could be a decrease in some signups. And so there's some discussion about, it was kind of a brutal winter and maybe people, aren't getting out to sign up for stuff. And then, there's a question, maybe they're just signing up for other stuff, like 200 kids going to lacrosse is going to take away from a few others. Absolutely.
Sure.
So there was one member, and the name escapes me, I think it's Michelle, who works in Montclair, and she says what they use is it's great, that the board can help with the blast and everything like that, but that Montclair doesn't rely on their Board of Ed. What they do is they have what's called Community Pass, and a lot of other towns have something similar to this as well. And basically what it is, it's a community system where you can have automated emails sent out, which is great. So let's say if the pool is going to be closed for some reason, you can send that out. Or let's say if there's tennis registration, it can be an automatic email blast to everybody. Another great aspect of it is you could actually sign up online for registrations. Like I know in Verona, they have a website and you can sign up, but here you have to actually go and visit. And while I told Ron I enjoy seeing his face while I go and register my kids for stuff, it might make it easier for people to sign up if they could just do it in the comfort of their home at like midnight when people have time. So Ron is supposed to be looking into that and getting back. I know one concern was the fee, if we accept credit cards associated with obviously who's paying for that. And there was a discussion, well, then maybe you raise the registration, $1 or $2 on whatever it is in order to cover that. So you could do the online. One thing is that Ron said, a shout out to Mr. Featherman, is that it's a pleasure to work with you and he enjoys it and thank you. So I thought I would just pass that on. And I think I'm done.
I'm sure.
No, but I think it's good enough.
I just wanted to piggyback on her comment about the North End fundraiser. I got an email from Donna Gerard, the FSA president, and she wanted to specifically thank the North End teachers, the administrators, and the board members that attended the event. Over 200 people attended. They were shooting for 200. And one of the projects that this helps fund, at the last FSA meeting, the fourth grade teachers put forward a grant asking for a little over $3,000 to buy library books for each fourth grade classroom. And so with that money, those fourth grade teachers are able to have multiple copies of books, different reading levels, so that they can really get the students reading on their level and enjoying reading. And so without these big events every 3 years, the schools won't be able to afford those types of gifts to the students. So it's great. Thank you.
Any other committee reports? Okay, let's move on the agenda. From the Office of the Business Administrator and Board Secretary, under minutes, may I have a motion for B1 and B2? That's a motion to approve the public and executive minutes of March 25th, 2014. And B2, a motion to approve the Board Secretary certification to the Cedar Grove Board of Education that no line item account has encumbrances and expenditures which in total exceed the line item appropriation in violation of the administrative code. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Burke?
Yes, I abstained from B1 as I was not here.
Mrs. Dye?
Yes.
Mrs. Marinelli?
Aye.
Mr. Mandela?
I abstained from B1 since I was not present at that meeting, and I for B2.
And Mr. Sakala?
Yes. Under business, may I have a motion for B3 through B9? And let's take a look at that. B3 is a motion to approve the school calendar for the 2014-2015 school year. And that's the calendar we went over last meeting, correct? Without any other changes? No changes. B4, a motion to approve waiving the fee for the use of the middle school cafeteria and gym, as well as the associated custodial costs for the Cedar Grove Junior Women's Club for a school dance on Friday, June 6th. B5 is a motion to approve the Computer Solutions Incorporated annual contract and support agreement for the 2014-2015 school year at the amount listed. B6 is a motion that the Cedar Grove Board of Education approve the submission of the grant application for the 2013 Safety Grant Program through the New Jersey School Insurance Group's NEIP subfund for the purposes described in the application in the amount of $4,592.41 for the period listed. B7 is a motion to approve the appropriation of the $176,923.37 from the 2012-2013 excess extraordinary aid in 2013-2014 to the following line item, the line item as listed under textbooks elementary curriculum. B8 is a motion to approve the start date for athletic team summer practices under the direction of Cedar Grove coaches in all sports for the following school year once the spring championships for this current school year have concluded. The date of the spring championship for this school year is Saturday, June 7th, 2014. Thus, the official start date for practice of our 2014-2015 athletic teams is Monday, June 9th, 2014, according to the NJSIAA rules and regulations. And B9, a motion to approve the settlement agreement and mutual release by and between the Cedar Grove Board of Education and the family of student number 176-880-7086. May I have a motion for those items, please?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I have a question. Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Burke.
No, go
Okay.
ahead, I just have a comment.
I have a question about B4 and an elementary school dance on Friday, June 6th. And I'm asking only because we recently had a fourth grade social, and there were some issues with phones. And I didn't know if it's something that the Junior Women's Club are doing. Are we still kind of liable for any kind of potential phone situation that would happen? Or is that just because they're running it, it's their situation? Or nobody?
What kind of phone issue are we?
Well, there were some people who were kind of taking pictures or videos of kids. Other kids were taking pictures of kids and videos and posting it potentially who knows where. And so the kids were encouraged not to bring their phones, but some did anyway. And then we had to ask some people. I chaperoned. We had to ask some people to please put them away, and some kids didn't want to, and other kids were getting upset that they were being videoed, and so it became a bit of a situation. And so only because of that, I'm asking for here. Is that something that we would ask the Junior Women's Club, or is it something that they have to be responsible for, or because it's on our grounds? And I wouldn't think to ask, except that I saw it happen at the fourth grade social, so.
I'm not real sure I understand I see what the potential problems could be with taking phone video and photos.
The problem is some kids are posting it on sites, and adults may not want their kids being posted on other sites on social media.
Right, well, I would say that, just sticking to policy and procedure, if there were an issue that were traceable back to the school that would impact the school day as determined by the administration, that an HIB investigation could come from an incident. I mean, outside of that, I don't know who would regulate the use of phones, whether the Junior Women's Club.
Right.
And in terms of liability, hard to imagine what could go that terribly wrong with that type of.
Right, and
age group.
maybe I'm not even thinking liability. I'm just thinking about like kids getting upset about being posted on social media when they don't want to be. I think it's more what I'm kind of thinking.
Yeah, and then I would stick to what I just said. Then if it came back to the school and it was determined that it were an impactful situation, we would investigate that, and we'd have to play it out. As we know, HIB is a 24/7 umbrella if in fact it can be traced back to a disruption of the school day. So if an incident were to qualify, then ultimately we would be responsible for processing.
I think sadly, I don't know how in any way the school or administration could manage that. The permission slip said we encourage children not to bring them.
Yeah.
Children are going to bring them, and they're going to take pictures and videos. And I think, I don't know how we can create an environment
No,
that
I don't
we
know
can
either.
take them
I just-
away. I mean,
no,
we can't,
right.
because the parents are going to say, I want my child to have the phone. What if they need to reach me?
Right.
So I think it's teaching kids what to do and what not to do.
And plus,
I
in
mean, I
this
think it
case,
goes back to education.
this is a Junior Women's Club.
Right, well, and I guess that's what, right, it's not, right,
Is it our
exactly.
kids?
Well, it's elementary school kids,
No, but
yeah.
is it our kids?
Yeah,
What grade
yeah.
is it? What grade is it?
All I know is it says elementary.
Yeah,
so
no,
I
it
don't know.
didn't say what grade. Fourth grade?
I don't know, to be honest with you,
I will
but,
find out which grade is being
right.
invited to this.
When I know there's second graders running around with phones, so I.
Right, I mean, it's the
Right.
sign of the times.
Right.
Doesn't say, but Lorraine just confirmed.
I can get in touch with Michelle Winkle, who's the Junior Women's Club.
Yes.
If I do the permits, and make sure there's insurance and all of
Right.
that. I can get in touch with her and explain the situation and maybe have her put a specific line on, like you said, the permission slip if it's not there already, to please, encourage, not have children bring their phones. Maybe she could do something where, at the door, you put your name on the phone or whatever, and you leave it there so parents can get in touch with them, or they can get in touch, but you won't have that situation. I can definitely
Yeah.
call her and,
That'll never happen.
you know, talk to her about that.
I mean, at the very least, maybe we just make them aware of, I mean,
We're going to strongly encourage you to leave your child's cell phone home. However, know that some parents will disregard this.
well, no, I think it's more of, we strongly encourage you to, talk to the kids about not videoing other kids or things like that. I mean, you have your phone. I mean, that's one thing, but,
Well, maybe.
I mean, I saw a girl taking pictures of herself in the bathroom. And,
Oh, they all the time.
Right, exactly.
All the time.
Which is
that's,
right.
That's the place they do it.
Well,
Right,
maybe
which is
what
great.
this is saying is that the education we do in the middle school with the social media training and everything that happens at the middle school, maybe now it has to happen in elementary school. I mean, that's what you're saying, is
Yeah.
what we need to do is get the message out to the parents at a much younger age, because there are second, third, fourth
Absolutely.
graders with smartphones.
Right.
So maybe with guidance, maybe that's the idea, is let's
certainly.
get the message out
And I
there.
think those messages are delivered by Mrs. DiMatteo and Ms. Dyer. And again, it's incumbent upon us as parents to have those conversations at home. And there is no pragmatic way of preventing kids from going to a dance and filming or taking photos. But if and when there's an incident, at the end of the day, it would fall back on us as educators to investigate and think it through. No doubt about it. There'd be no way of getting around an incident that occurred in one of our facilities with our kids. It's our obligation to do that, so we would.
Right. Yeah, maybe just mentioning to Mrs. Winkle, just.
Yeah, I don't think going to the point, though, of taking the cell phones and putting their names on it, I wouldn't even entertain that, because I think if
exactly.
something happens to their phone, then we're liable. I don't even want to
Can't
deal
watch.
with that.
Right.
It's crazy.
That was it. Sorry.
I just have a question on the calendar. Were there any changes that were made at the meeting that I missed?
I believe there might have been, we had talked about that half-day release for kindergarten orientation. Were you there for that discussion?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so we had agreed that that was a go and that we would be publicizing that. In fact, tomorrow we will be sending the calendar to our website as well as placing it in the Friday folder, so our parents will have first exposure to it tomorrow.
But no other major changes
No
were
other
made?
changes at all.
Oh, okay, cool.
Did we note on the calendar that there will not be aftercare for kindergartners that day?
On that day.
No, it doesn't say that.
The updated one?
This one, no.
What was the date on? June 12th.
We should put that on the bottom there.
It's marked kindergarten orientation, but.
Because on these half-days up here, there is.
Yeah, there's always
Third, fourth, and
aftercare.
fifth,
Yeah,
just as
on the-
kindergartners
on the
get out early.
Well, why wouldn't there be
Only the
aftercare? There would be
kindergartners
aftercare. It'd be incumbent upon the parent to bring them back.
Well, no, but he's saying, so
There's no care from when they get out at 12:30 until 3.
There is
I
not.
think, right. I think that's what we
Right,
want to
but we have-
emphasize.
It's not on those days either.
we
You're
have
right.
the same, you have the same event occurring on the first 3 days of
The
school.
beginning of the year, you
Kindergarten
mean,
gets
right.
out early and there's no care, so.
But there is
Right.
care.
There's aftercare, but there's not aftercare for the students having a half-day.
But aftercare won't start for the kindergartners
Just for the
until the
kindergarten,
second
right.
week of school.
So
There'll
that
be-
wouldn't,
there'll-
gotcha.
We should somehow at least just make a
Yeah,
notation.
so when parents look at this, they know to plan for it.
We can include that in our,
Yeah.
as we're promoting the calendar and the idea of this orientation, we can certainly promote the fact that that is the case.
at his 5 days now for snow days instead?
I just wanted to comment, thank you for adding the times at the bottom of the calendar for early dismissals, because as a parent all these years, I was always calculating what time I could drop kids off, and now it's in writing, it's awesome.
Oh, and
In the
even though-
morning, it's
right.
hard.
Oh, and even though I knew, I would still
I
double check.
appreciate it.
Anyway, absolutely. I would still double check, yeah.
So thank you.
Any more comments on those agenda items?
Delayed opening, that helps.
May I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Dye,
Yes.
Mrs. Marinelli,
Aye.
Mr. Mandela,
Aye.
and Mr. Sakala.
Yes. From the Office of the Superintendent, under Personnel, may I have a motion for S1 through S9? S1 is a motion to approve Larissa Codis to serve as substitute aide at South End School at the rate listed therein. S2 is a motion to approve the resignation of Joyce Cutler as our athletic director, effective June 30th, 2014. S3 is a motion to extend the contract time for Marie Lasher, MMS Resource Maternity Replacement Teacher, from April 30th to June 20th, 2014. S4 is a motion to reimburse the following school-based volunteers for fingerprinting expenses as listed therein. S5 is a motion to approve the following as school volunteers as listed therein. S6 is a motion to authorize attendance at the following events as listed within S6. S7 is a motion to approve the following leaves of absence as listed therein. S8 is a motion to approve the following students for classroom observations as set forth therein. And S9 is a motion to approve the revisions to the following existing job descriptions as listed therein. May I have a motion for those items, please?
So moved. Second.
Is there any discussion on any of the items therein? Just, Mr. Featherman, on S3, that's a situation where Marie Lasher is going to remain in the classroom through the end of the year. She was a maternity replacement, and she will be able to stay there to the end of the year, so the kids are not being disrupted. And that's as a result of the...
Mrs. Petrucci is going to extend her leave through the end of the year. The calendar.
That's a good thing. Not that she's extending her leave, but the teacher gets to stay in the classroom the whole year. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just have a question on the job descriptions. I was just wondering what was changed on the 3 positions. Anything major?
Nothing major.
Did I miss, I didn't know if I missed something, because I'm like, was asking. I thought at first these were 3 new positions we were posting. It's like-
No, we're both trying to figure that out.
We haven't collectively discuss the reorganization, so to speak, that's going on in the central office. It's not, I think reorg is probably too strong of a word, but we're sort of assigning tasks to 3 of our folks that work in the central office. The good folks that work up there do a great job, but just based on experience of what gets done and by whom, we're tweaking the job descriptions to include their specific tasks that they are responsible for throughout the year.
Okay,
So we want to revise and sort of make that clearer.
great. So no major stuff.
I wouldn't call it major, no.
Okay.
It's, no. Would you call it major? I don't know.
Nothing major.
Nothing major.
I think, and you provided us in our packet.
They're in
the,
there, the revised descriptions are there, and you'll,
No, I was reading those, but I didn't know what they were before. So I don't know if there was anything.
Okay.
So you had a question.
I have a roll call, please.
Mrs. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Dye?
Yes.
Mrs. Marinelli?
Aye.
Mr. Mandela?
Aye.
And Mr. Sakala?
Yes. Under contracts, may I have a motion for S10, which is a motion to approve the following contracts for the 2013-2014 school year for special ed students as recommended by the Director of Special Services, and they are set forth therein.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Dye?
Yes.
Mrs. Marinelli?
Aye.
Mr. Mandela?
Aye.
And Mr. Sakala?
Yes. I will now open the meeting up to the public for comment for any items that are either on or off the agenda. Hearing none, I'll close that portion of the meeting, and I will make the announcements of our future meetings. April 29th, 2014, right here in the Media Center. That will be our budget hearing. It's at, there's an executive session at 7 p.m. The budget hearing will be during the regular meeting at 8 p.m. And the meeting following that would be May 13th, 2014, here in the North End Media Center, 7 p.m. for executive session, 8 p.m. regular meeting. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Dye?
Yes.
Mrs. Marinelli?
Aye.
Mr. Mandela?
Aye.
And Mr. Sakala?
Yes. Meeting is adjourned.